When a tiny bobcat kitten named Toby was rescued from the side of the road, the family who took him in had no idea how he would fit in, especially since their house was already ruled by three mischievous Maine kittens, Daisy, Marshmallow, and Oliver. They are the fluffy sovereigns of the household with their own set of rules and a clear sense of order. What happens when a wild cat born in the wild but not raised in the woods is brought into a world of civilized cats and raised by three Maine? This is the story of two different species, but one of the strangest and most heartwarming sibling bonds ever witnessed. Before we start, hit the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Arthur Henderson considered the winding stretch of asphalt that cut through the dense Maine woods his personal decompression chamber. At 72, with hands gnarled from a lifetime of woodworking and a heart softened by 48 years of marriage to his beloved Martha, these solo fishing trips were his cherished ritual. It was less about the fish and more about the silence, the scent of pine, and the gentle lapping of the lake against his small boat. But on this particular Tuesday in late October, the silence was broken. As his old Ford F-150 rumbled around a sharp bend, its headlights sliced through the deepening twilight and caught a flicker of movement on the gravel shoulder. Arthur slowed. His curiosity piqued. He expected a raccoon or a possum, but what he saw was a pathetic, shivering ball of fluff, no bigger than his clenched fist. It let out a desperate, high-pitched cry that pierced the evening chill and went straight to his heart. He pulled over, the truck's engine ticking in the quiet. Cautiously, he approached. The creature was a kitten, but a strange-looking one. Its fur was a mottled brown. Its ears had peculiar little tufts of black fur at the tips, and its paws seemed disproportionately large for its tiny body. There was no sign of a mother or siblings, only the grim dark stain on the pavement a few yards away that told a tragic story. This little one was an orphan. Well, now what have we here? Arthur murmured, his voice a low, gentle rumble. The kitten flinched, attempting a hiss that came out as a squeak. Its oversized blue eyes were wide with terror. Arthur's heart, a notoriously soft target, surrendered completely. He unbuttoned his thick flannel jacket, shrugged it off, and gently scooped the trembling creature into its warm folds. The kitten, exhausted and cold, offered no resistance, burrowing into the soft fabric. Back home, Martha was just taking a pan of her famous cinnamon rolls out of the oven. The warm, sweet smell filled their cozy two-story house. She looked up as Arthur came in, her brow furrowed with concern. "Arthur, you're late. I was starting to worry. Had to make a stop, Marty?" he said, a sheepish grin on his face. He carefully folded back the lapel of his jacket. Martha peered in, her eyes widening. "Oh my heavens, Arthur. Where did you find that side of the road, all alone?" She reached in a finger, stroking the kitten's downy head. It responded with a weak, rattling purr. The poor dear. He's all skin and bones. And what strange ears. The next morning, they took the kitten to the town's only veterinarian doctor, Simmons, a man whose own age was a topic of local debate, but whose hands were as steady as ever. He placed the kitten on the cold metal table, adjusted his spectacles, and let out a low whistle. "Well, Arthur, Martha," he said, looking over his glasses, "you two don't do things by halves. This isn't just any stray." He gently opened the kitten's mouth and examined its paws. "What you have here is Lynx rufus, a bobcat." The Hendersons stared. A bobcat in their living room. "He can't be more than 5 or 6 weeks old." Doc Simmons continued. "Now the proper thing to do is call the state wildlife rehabilitator. They're equipped for this." He sighed, already knowing what the response would be. "But I can tell you right now, they're 3 hours away and full to the gills with raccoons and a bear cub that got into some fermented apples. They'll likely have to," well, he didn't finish the sentence. The thought hung in the sterile air of the exam room. Martha looked at the tiny creature now tentatively licking a drop of water from her finger. She thought of the cold roadside and the dark stain. "We'll take care of him," she said with a firmness that left no room for argument. "Just for a bit until he's strong." Arthur nodded in agreement. "He needs a name." Martha smiled. "He looks like a little Toby." Doc Simmons sighed again. a mix of resignation and admiration. All right, but be prepared. You're not raising a house cat. His instincts will be a whole different kettle of fish, and you've got the triumvirate at home to consider. The triumvirate was their trio of Maine Kittens, the undisputed fluffy sovereigns of the Henderson household. They were 6 months old and just beginning to grow into their magnificent coats and personalities. There was Daisy, a calico with a plume of a tail and an air of regal authority. She was the matriarch in training, the observer, the one who passed judgment from her perch on the back of the floral sofa. Then came Marshmallow, a pristine white giant in the making, whose life's purpose seemed to be maintaining the flawlessness of his fur. He was the family's resident drama queen, prone to sighing theatrically if his nap was disturbed. And finally, there was Oliver, a ginger tabby with 4 perfect white paws and a heart full of reckless abandon. Oliver was the adventurer, the one who saw every dangling cord as a challenge and every rustle of paper as an invitation to pounce. The introduction did not go smoothly. Martha placed Toby, now fortified with a belly full of kitten formula, on the living room rug. The 3 Maine Coons who had been snoozing in a sunbeam awoke at once. 3 heads popped up, ears swiveling like radar dishes. Daisy was the first to approach. She moved with a slow, deliberate grace, her tail held low and twitching. She sniffed the air, her nose wrinkling at the unfamiliar wild scent of the newcomer. Marshmallow from a safe distance puffed his entire body up to twice its normal size, looking like a startled cloud. Oliver, ever the brave one, crept forward, let out a valiant hiss, and then immediately leaped backward 3 feet when Toby let out a terrified chirp in response. Toby, overwhelmed by the sheer volume of fluff and feline disapproval, scrambled under the nearest armchair and refused to come out. The first few weeks were a masterclass in chaos. Feeding time was a spectacle. Daisy, Marshmallow, and Oliver would line up, nibbling delicately from their respective ceramic bowls. Toby, on the other hand, treated every meal as a life-or-death struggle. He would launch himself at his dish, planting both front paws firmly in the milk-soaked kibble and plunging his face in up to his tufted ears. He emerged sputtering, covered in food, having scattered half his meal across Martha's freshly mopped linoleum floor. "Arthur, get the cloth," became Martha's daily refrain. Playtime was even more bewildering for the little bobcat. The Maine Coons adored their feather wand and the elusive red dot of the laser pointer. They would chase, leap, and bat with a refined athletic grace. Toby had no concept of toys. His prey was far more elemental. He pounced on shifting sunbeams, stalked dust bunnies with lethal intensity, and ambushed his own tail, spinning in frantic circles until he grew dizzy and cannonaded into a wall with a soft thump. The other kittens would simply stop and stare, their heads cocked in unison, as if watching a bizarre foreign film without subtitles.